Do not fret, because I'm not going to stand here in front of you all and give you the same mundane fossil fuel lecture that you've heard a million times before. Instead, I'm going to talk to you about a different aspect of global warming that you probably haven't heard of yet. I'm, of course, talking about methane gas. What is methane gas, you may ask, other than the release of flatulence you get from your everyday dairy cow? What does methane gas have to do with climate change? Well, methane gas is actually one of the biggest contributors of global warming today because it is a greenhouse gas. So whether you believe it or not, methane has a huge toll on our planet and the effects that we're going to deal with as we grow older. Alright, so why am I credible? As an inhabitant of this planet, it is my moral responsibility to understand the damaging effects methane can have towards climate change. Learning about the effects methane has as a greenhouse gas can help us better understand the ways we can decrease its damaging effects. Alright, so first I'm going to talk to you about why methane emissions are a problem. Then I'm going to talk to you about the causes of these emissions. And finally, I'm going to talk to you about ways we can solve and decrease methane emissions. Alright, so first, what is methane and how does it affect climate change? Well, to understand that, we have to understand how global warming works. So, global warming is an increase in Earth's average surface temperature, and it's due to a phenomenon called the greenhouse effect. I'm sure many of you have heard this before. It's when light from the sun hits the Earth and is trapped in the atmosphere by greenhouse gases. So you can see here, and according to the 2010 EPA report, methane and nitrous oxide emissions from natural sources, methane is the second most prevalent greenhouse gas emitted in the United States from human activities. So methane has just as much effect as CO2 from cars and other human activities. Also, methane is 21 times more effective in trapping heat than CO2 emissions from cars. So methane is a big deal. Now that I explained to you what methane is and its role in global warming, I'll explain the causes for such high levels of methane in the atmosphere. Alright, so we're going to focus on two causes for methane. There are agricultural causes and there are waste management causes. So, according to the 2013 EPA report, Inventory of U.S. Greenhouse Gas Emissions and sinks of all domestic animal types, beef and dairy cattle were by far the largest emitters of methane. So, this can be attributed to the world's growing need for beef and dairy products, and they're huge contributors of methane. And as the human population gets bigger, the methane problem is only going to get larger because we're going to need more cattle to feed our diets. Our second cause is landfills. With all the trash humans are creating, methane is being created from these landfills. So you can see from this little depiction, methane is built up inside the big trash heaps and it's released into the air, and that's creating holes in the ozone layer, and it's also seeping into our groundwater, which is contaminating it. So now that we understand the causes for methane emissions, let's now talk about how we can solve this problem. So our first solution, agriculturally speaking, would be to feed the cows a better nutritious diet. Right now they're being fed high sugar ryegrass and lower protein clovers, and that is terrible for the cow's digestive system, and that's what's making them create so much methane, causing us problems. Waste managementally speaking, for the landfills, what we could be doing is we could be collecting the methane that's coming off of these heaps of trash, and we could be using it to, as a clean source of energy, and it would also stop the methane flow from these landfills. which is almost as big as the agricultural spectrum. And also, there's other things you guys could be doing. You know, a lot of people don't like to hear it, but agriculturally speaking, if the U.S. nation ate less meat, then methane levels would significantly drop. And it's kind of hard when people tell you to eat less meat and dairy products, but it's gonna be a problem we're gonna face in the future, and I think we're all gonna have to step down our meat diets. All right, so I talked to you guys about methane as a problem and what it's doing to climate change. I talked to you about the causes for such high emission levels, and I talked to you about solutions to solve these high emission levels. So to close, I just want to thank you guys for listening, and you guys all need to understand that global warming is the single most important crisis that we're facing right now, and not many people understand that. And it should be not on the back burner like it is right now with our politics and whatnot, and it should be one of our focuses today. And it starts, you know, at the university level with students understanding this, because we're the future, and we're going to be on the forefront to making changes with global warming. Thank you.